Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So we're here. We're in Midsize Princess mode. I told you guys I would start doing videos about this phenomenon. If you guys are not aware, if you didn't see, I'm officially in my chapel era. I'm in my rise and fall of a Midsize Princess era. And I figured we could start a new video series where we talk about Midsize Princess isms, which what is that? Just to kind of catch you guys up. It's basically aspects of weight loss where people cannot move on or where people have distorted views about weight and reality and these types of things that I see a lot online. And ultimately, remember, I'm not attacking the person. I'm sure this guy is super nice and super great. I'm attacking the ideas, and he does have a lot of good ideas on his page too. So it's not like a everything is bad type of thing. It's more so that I think sometimes people that have lost weight, they carry this kind of baggage with it. And I noticed it developing in myself, so I'm making these videos to call it out in others and to prevent it from happening in me and to help you guys be aware if it's happening in you. That's basically what I'm doing. I think the biggest issue with these types of things is that it disincentivizes weight loss for particularly very big people. And I'm going to try to bridge that gap as well. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff within this. So yeah. I hope that this video clarifies what I mean by a mid-sized princess or by mid-sized princess energy. Remember, it's not male or female. It's just something that comes up. So let's go ahead and dive in. By the way, if you can hear that, that's the wind. The wind is a-blowing. The winds of change are blowing.
Wants to see overweight people. When I was 245 pounds, I genuinely think that was the closest I've ever been to being invisible. And if you've been in shape your entire life, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But it literally...
So this is something that is part of Midsize Princess energy is if you haven't been overweight, you can never understand this. And it's usually something kind of basic. I'm going to let him speak and then we'll break it down. Okay. But we're going to sorry. I need to just let him go. I'm going to let him cook. So we'll be back.
Really get to the point where you'll be on the street and you'll smile at someone or you say hello to someone and they'll straight up ignore you. And it's the complete opposite once you lose the weight. Because back when I was overweight, I thought people just weren't friendly. I'm like, all right, people just aren't friendly. It's just life. Now that I'm in shape, like people smile at you, they come up to you, they make random conversations. Losing weight really does show you how shallow most people are in society. And I'm not saying this is right. The whole point I'm trying to make is that if you lose weight, you are going to be treated better. So take that information and do what you will. No one wants to see overweight people.
Okay, so that is... All right, we're going to break it down piece by piece. And I have quite a few of these with him. I have a feeling he's going to be somebody I visit a lot in this series because I do follow him and I watch what's said. Eventually, I will probably be doing more medleys of things, but I just feel like he was a really good introduction. So basically, he says no one wants to see overweight people. That is very, very, very dramatic. Okay, it's a super dramatic statement. It's very hyperbolic. I understand that he's trying to just kind of get an attention grab moment, but a lot of very overweight people, particularly people that have toxic ritualistic mindsets and behaviors, they hear that and they already believe it. So it's something that's being reinforced. I would shift it a bit and say most people don't care to see overweight people, or most people are kind of just like not thinking about it at all. Let's continue.
When I was 245 pounds, I genuinely think that was the closest I've ever been to being invisible.
So the invisibility of weight, I've talked about it a lot. It tends to happen, in my opinion, around the mid-fat zone. So for most people, that's between a 3 and a 2x in general. That's something that I observed. However, it's very much an introverted phenomenon. It's not typically something that happens to every single fat person. I do think that when you are in that particular zone of fatness, you are still less visible. Even as an extrovert, you may have to push a little harder to be noticed, but you still won't feel the same invisibility. So that's something that is also kind of a little bit personality based. So it's a little bit dramatic. Like I said, I did experience this, but I've been very overweight. When you are super, super overweight, you are very visible. So this isn't always true. So it's true in his experience, but it's a little bit, like I said, it's a little dramatic.
If you've been in shape your entire life, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But it literally
So that only frustrates me because there are plenty of people who have felt invisible who have never been overweight. So I also think it doesn't help from an educational standpoint because you want to try to build bridges with people. You want to kind of, if you're going to talk about it, this is just my opinion, you want to explain it in a way that somebody who hasn't been overweight can understand. So how I would say it is, I think when you're in that mid-fat zone, people don't have a heuristic for you in their brain, which that basically means, I believe it's a psychological term, it means a sort of category or way of filing you in their brain. So typically most people, they view fatness in terms of two categories. They view it as a small fat, so somebody who's kind of near thin but still big, but it's kind of like there's a lot of stereotypes and things that go with that, or somebody who's really huge. And then there's a lot of stereotypes that go with that, and people just register those two. So they see that those two categories very well. When you're in between hugely fat and slightly fat, people don't know where to put you. So they just kind of subconsciously ignore you. It's not like 100%, but it's not like it's just like less. So it is still very independently based, but it's something that affects introverts a lot. So I talked about it in terms of the deaf. I have a feeling this person, he at the very least has some introvertedness in him, or he's like, there's something going on. I don't think he's completely introverted, obviously, because he's online and everything. But I just feel like he's maybe like half and half or something. So that's probably why he experienced it so much.
Get to the point where you'll be on the street and you'll smile at someone or you say hello to someone and they'll straight up ignore you. And it's the complete opposite once you lose the weight. Because back when I was overweight, I thought people just weren't friendly. I'm like, all right, people just aren't friendly. It's just life. Now that I'm in shape, like people smile at you, they come up to you, they make random conversations. Losing weight really does show you how shallow most people are in society.
So why is this a mid-sized princess trope? It's because the implication is that you are not shallow. So I would say most people, yes, almost anybody is somewhat shallow. I think that's just how the world works. And I think it's important to not have the mid-sized princess energy and act like you're above it. Because a lot of times, and we see this even within fat activists and stuff, they choose partners that are thin. I'm calling out William. William? I'm pointing at you, William, in judgment. He's a great example. I love to use William as an example for everything, but he is a huge example of that. So his partner is thin and conventionally attractive, whatever, blah, 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 all the same things. And so a lot of people within that, and a lot of people that have mid-sized princess energy, they also want a thin partner. Many times they want a partner that has never been overweight, and all this stuff. Like they'll probably have some of the strictest standards, in my opinion, which is hypocritical. And it's giving mid-sized princess energy, which we don't want. And like I said, my goal of these videos is to make sure I don't carry this with me into being thin. I can be cringe, I can be weird, I can be like on edge and all that now. I don't want this to continue. But this is something that I'm just pointing stuff out. I'm just offering another perspective. Like I said, there's plenty of things he says on his thing that are good. I'm just pointing out the bad, which is also very Midsize Princess energy, being negative. Okay, so go ahead and clock me. Okay. I ain't saying I'm better than anyone. That's the first rule of these videos, okay? Okay, let's continue.
And I'm not saying this is...
As far as like the whole like, oh, I'm shallow or about weight or whatever, personally, I don't want to date somebody who's super morbidly obese or even morbid, because it's just, I've said it before, I had to go through my own journey with it. It was awful, and no shade to anybody who's in that category. You know how hard it is. I had to live through it myself. I don't particularly want to live through it with someone else. I don't want to necessarily revisit it like I do in terms of activism and stuff, but it's very different to like be dating somebody, going through it and all that stuff. No shade on anybody. Like I said, it's just I had enough of a time with myself. That's all. But other than that, like I'm definitely not going to act like abs are unattractive, but I'm also not going to act like I'm never attracted to somebody unless they have abs. Okay, so that's just my personal stance. You can have whatever stance you want. Just please don't act like you're not shallow and the whole world is. That's bad. That's the Midsize Princess energy. That's what's frustrating about it. Okay?
Right. The whole point I'm trying to make is that if you lose weight, you are going to be treated better. So take that information and do what you will. No one wants to see.
So, treated better, I still have yet to see. We'll see. I would say, I think a little bit, but you'll see within this, I'm going to show some more videos where then he says the opposite. And that's part of Midsize Princess too, is a contradiction. So I will say my stance on that is you are treated marginally better. It's a little bit better. It's very slight. People really, really over exaggerate it. It has so much more to do with your personality. Honestly, I think your personality is a huge aspect, and it makes a huge difference of how much better you're going to be treated. So yeah, I'll just say that. I'm not saying that it doesn't help, but I'm saying if the personality is not helpful, which again, to me, he seems like a very sweet, nice person. Honestly, I see him as that way. I'm sure that he is having such a huge boost. Whereas someone like me who's... I don't know how to finish that sentence. Let's put it in a demure way, in a princessy way. Someone like me who can be a little combative. Just a touch. Just a little bit. It can tend to be worse sometimes because people, they will see you as extremely vain, which I'm going to keep saying it. Since I got to the mids, I was called arrogant a few times already. But I guess when I was fat, I wasn't arrogant. When to me, I'm like, I haven't changed, y'all. But like I said, I'm just being real. I'm going to be all extra. Okay, let's do more. Okay, here's a good one. So I'm going to just play it and then I'll go break it down.
For a second and admit that this version of me was not attractive. I think that's a pretty objective statement that a lot of people would agree with. And from my own point of view, I know it's true as well, because I never got compliments when I was overweight. I literally never got approached by a girl before I lost weight. I know I can already hear the comments, oh, it's your confidence, now you're more... I was confident back then too. I just didn't have the looks to back it up either. And again, I don't think you should judge people off the way they look, but you gotta be real with yourself and realize that, yeah, I looked worse and I look better now. Because if you look at yourself in the past and you don't think you look worse, you're not growing, you're not improving. Plus, whenever I hear this and a lot of other people who've had like a weight loss transformation, it feels minimizing, like people are trying to tell you that the work you put into your health or your looks didn't actually matter. Let's just all keep it real.
Let's break it down. This one has a lot of Midsize Princess energy in it. So let's go ahead and break it down piece by piece. And again, there are certain aspects that I can understand. And again, I'm not just fighting with you, Nick. I'm fighting with myself. This is not, I have to keep saying it since I'm so arrogant now that I'm mid-size. I'm so arrogant, you guys. I do not think I'm better than you, Nick. I don't. That's not what this is. This is, I'm trying to work through it. This is therapeutic. This is me trying to work through it, okay? Okay, let's break it down piece by piece. The comment says you were cute both ways. So cute, fat, cute, thin, okay?
Go for a second and admit that this version of me was not attractive.
So, attraction is going to be subjective for the most part. There were probably plenty of people who were attracted to you at that size. Maybe it was less people, but there were still some people. Okay? So, it's important to keep that kind of objectivity. So, what is the mid-sized princess issue with this video so far? He cannot take a compliment. So he's taking this compliment and he's taking it in the worst possible way that you can possibly take it. Taking it super, super negatively when it's literally somebody being positive. It's this girl named Lily saying you were cute both ways. That's her opinion. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be your opinion, Nick. It doesn't have to be my opinion or whatever. You know, I don't typically really get there with this stuff for me because when I look at pictures of myself when I was bigger, I don't think there are certain pictures where I looked really sick. And in those pictures, I do feel like I look hideous because I was so ill. But in terms of being big or whatever, it's like, I don't know. I don't view it as like horrifically ugly or horrifically this. I view it as like, I was just like, there's such a wall up, or like I feel like I don't look relatable being that big. Like it's like almost like you're not human anymore. Like that's how I feel sometimes when I see my really, really big ones. I'm like, and then I just think, oh my gosh, I don't know how I survived. That's what I think too. I'm like, I don't know how I'm still alive. But see, it's not necessarily like, I don't necessarily judge myself based on that, just because like I always say I'm not trying to sleep with myself, you know? So I don't think it's necessarily a good mindset. And again, people are going to have their opinions regardless. I'm sure there's so many people that thought I was hideous when I was bigger. There's people that thought I was very attractive when I was bigger, you know, maybe even FETISHized, you know. And then there's people who probably think I look hideous now, and there's people who probably think I look great now, you know. And I tend to just take what people say at face value and I believe them. So it's like, just let it be. Even with this wig, there's probably people where it really irritates them that I'm wearing this wig. And then there's a lot of you guys that think it looks great on me. So it's like, it's fine. I believe it. I believe it both ways. I believe you. And I think that's what's important, is just like let people compliment you. Just let it happen. It's okay. It's okay.
I think that's a pretty objective statement though.
It's not necessarily objective. What we can say is more people would find you more attractive now. That's a better statement. But like I said, it doesn't change her opinion, which is okay. So two things can be true at once.
A lot of people would agree with. And from my own point of view, I know it's true as well, because I never got compliments when I was overweight.
So I don't know how many compliments he gets in person now, but I will say he is online more and stuff like that. And I have to kind of counteract this narrative. I've been very overweight online. I have gotten compliments online, you know, especially like, and then I have gotten, you know, I don't want to get into it, but I've gotten catcalled before and stuff when I was huge and stuff like that. So it happens. And that's even being gay in the middle of Alabama. Like, it's happened. So I'm just saying, like, you have to kind of just, I'm not saying it happens all the time, whatever. Like, I'm not saying that at all. But it's just, it's too extreme. And I think for a lot of people who are bigger, it can fall really flat because, again, there is, maybe he never got that big where he got into that type of category of FETISHization and stuff like that. But for some people who have been, they're going to hear you and be like, that's not true. Like, I have been complimented. I have been hit on. I have had this stuff happen to me, even being hugely fat. So it falls flat. So I think it's just important to, again, keep more of an objective thought process around it. That's my thoughts on it as I'm hearing it.
I literally never got approached by a girl before I lost weight. I know I can already hear the comments. Oh,
I can believe him there. I can definitely believe him. You know, I don't. Jeez. The wind is a blowing. That scared me. The wind is mad. Nature is mad at me. Nature is shaming me for losing weight right now. Nature is getting aggressive and jealous that I've lost weight at this moment. No, but I can understand what he's saying there. I think sometimes too, though, I'm just going to add this and he's going to hate it. He's going to hate it. I know he would hate this. I absolutely know he would hate this. But sometimes when you are bigger, people can feel that you're insecure, or they assume that you're very insecure, and they don't know how you would take it if they were to say something. So that can happen too. It could be a part of it. I'm not saying that it's all of it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it could be a part of it. That could be part of it.
oh, it's your confidence. Now you're more. I was confident back then too. I just didn't have the looks to back it up either. And again, I don't think.
I've seen other of your videos, Nick, where you don't seem that confident. So you seem like you were not that confident when you were bigger.
You should judge people off the way they look, but you gotta be real with yourself and realize that, yeah, I looked worse and I look better now. Because if you look at yourself in the past and you don't think you look worse, you're not growing, you're not improving. Plus, whenever I hear...
I think it's more important to consider health. I think health is a more important metric and a more important thing to focus on. Yes, looks can be fun and nice and etc. But I think the health aspect is what's more important. So I'm not saying looks don't matter. I'm saying health matters more. So always remember to prioritize that. And I would, from an activistic perspective or from a social media perspective, make sure that I'm always talking about health first, because that's what people really need to hear, especially at bigger sizes and especially just in general. It's more realistic. And health is, relatively speaking, generally attractive. Being healthier is a generally attractive trait. So to pursue health is something that will help you pursue being more attractive wherever it is that you're at. So again, just like, you know, it's just a thing. Okay, let's continue.
Hear this and a lot of other people who've had like a weight loss transformation, it feels minimizing. Like people are trying to tell you that the work you put into your health or your looks didn't actually matter.
So I think that can be true in some cases, but not in all. And I don't think you should necessarily assume that. And that's something where my inner Midsize Princess is like speaking in nature. That's something where it would piss me off if somebody tried to minimize my effort. Then my inner Midsize Princess would be like, excuse me? Because that would trigger me. Not that I'm trying to put my triggers out there, but I think for me, it's like, look, Alex, like, you put in the work. You did shit. You know you did. You don't have to have anybody say it. And people don't have to believe it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the thing too that I try to remember for myself is there are going to be people within this issue where they can be kind of delusional about it. So they're not always going to view it objectively either. And all I can do is view it as objectively as I can personally. And yes, I did put in the work. And yes, it mattered because once again, the rebuttal is my health mattered more than how I looked. And that's a way to shut that down if somebody is using it in a nasty way. But like I said, just take a compliment. Don't have the Midsize Princess energy of not being able to take a compliment. Just take it. It's fine. It's fine.
Let's just all keep it real for a second and admit that.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Let's go.
Pay me to be overweight again. Like if someone walked in with $1 million and like, I'll give you this, you just gotta relive being overweight. I would not. You keep it. I don't think people who've been skinny their entire life understand how poorly you're treated when you're overweight. At some points, you're literally treated subhuman. And don't even get me started at how you have no energy and all the health problems that come with it. You could not pay.
Let's open up the curtain. This is hella dramatic. Okay, and I will give a counter narrative to this for sure.
Pay me to be overweight again. Like if someone walked in with $1 million and like, I'll give you this, you just gotta relive being overweight.
I would say yes. You want to know why? Because I would know that I could lose the weight. Because it's possible. It would suck, but for $1 million, I would probably do it. I could complain the whole way. It would give me something to complain about. I could use my Midsize Princess energy and be like, I'm going to complain the whole time I have to lose the weight. But I'm going to wipe those tears with $1 million because you can lose weight. It's not impossible. It's not the worst thing ever. It depends on how overweight they're talking here. Like I'd have to really look at the numbers and stuff and crunch it. But in general, for $1 million, I probably would. If it was some weird magical situation. What I wouldn't do is I probably wouldn't like work to gain the weight back. You'd have to like use a magic wand and do that because what I don't want to do is I don't want to do all the binging again. And that I don't think I could do because it's a lot. And so that I would say, no, I wouldn't because on that end, you couldn't pay me to do that disorder again. And that's like a real talk thing, but that's because for me, that is just, no. That's all I can say. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, there's just too much. I was talking to Eric about it today, actually. I talk about my activism a lot with friends and stuff. They're probably all irritated with me. But I literally was telling him, like, I honestly think it's my only regret is having that disorder. And it's a major one. It's a huge one. So on that end, I would say no. But it's because of like emotional reasons and there's a deep conviction and there's just all these things. And I have such a almost hatred of the disorder. And so on that end, it would be a never. But if you could just then yeah, because I could lose it again. You know? So that's what I will say to that.
I would not. You keep it. I don't think people who've been skinny their entire life understand how poorly you're treated when you're overweight. At some points, you're literally treated subhuman.
So this is very overly dramatic. It's super, super dramatic. This is toxic ritualistic reinforcement. It's not a good thing to do. This is something that is encouraging people to, be more of a shut-in and these types of things. It's not necessarily true. Subhuman is very dramatic, in my opinion. It really is. And this talking point that he has, it's right out of fat activism. Like it is right out of anti-FA, oh my gosh. It is right out of fat acceptance rhetoric. So it's very important. And this is where I show you guys how it's coming from a toxic ritualistic place. Even the fat acceptance rhetoric, it comes from that because people that are thin, they also can say things like this, and it has to do with a disordered mindset. Okay? Which again, I'm not saying he has it. I'm just saying I think he used to, at least, because of some of the stuff he posts. There's some signs. But I also think that having the disorder, it puts, in my opinion, the more I think about it, the more I really formulate my theories of Midsize Princess Energy, I do think the disorder in and of itself puts you at risk of having it. I think you're more likely to have it if you've had that toxic ritualistic behavior.
And don't even get me started at how you have no energy and all the health problems that come with it.
True. That part sucks. Like I said, I'd be like, hold up. Let me like get my body to be okay a bit and then tell me how overweight. If I need to just, he started at like 245. I'm like right around there. I'm like 256 right now. If I just got to be 245, I'd be like, okay, hand over those $1 million, but you just got to use the wand to make me that size. And we'll do it. Because to me, that's not that bad. If they're like, you got to go all the way back up to 383, I'd be like, oh my Lord. I mean, I would consider it, but I would be hella working for that $1 million. It would be horrible, but I'm just saying, you can lose the weight. You can. It's possible. Okay, we got one more.
You could not.
One more. Okay.
Wait, but didn't. I used to be 240.
Hold on. Let me start this over.
Thought would happen after losing weight, but didn't. I used to be 245 pounds, now I'm 170. Number one is I thought my appetite would go down. But if I'm being honest, I'm probably more hungry now than I was before. And I could probably eat double the amount in one sitting now than I could back then. Number two is I thought people were gonna be happy for me. And yeah, there are gonna be a few people who are genuinely proud of you, but most people are just gonna be jealous or mad at you. Because when they see you making progress, they feel bad that they're not making progress on themselves. Just be prepared, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, you're gonna get some hate. And then number three, I thought all my overweight habits would just go away. Pulling my shirt, putting my shirt above my chin, grabbing a pillow when I sit down. I definitely don't do them as much, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't catch myself doing them pretty often.
Okay. There's a lot here. Lots of Midsize Princess energy. So we're going to break down some of these piece by piece. Okay. Let's go.
Things that I thought would happen after losing weight, but didn't. I used to be 245 pounds, now I'm 170. Number one is I thought my appetite would go down.
Okay. I need you all to hear me. If I have any super morbidly obese people in the chat, if I have any of you guys here, your appetite absolutely will go down from being at a super morbidly obese place. It absolutely will. It is much worse at a higher level. And I need you to hear it because a lot of people that have not been there, and I know I'm giving a little bit of Midsize Princess when I say that, but a lot of people that haven't been that, I'm talking about something very physical though. They don't understand the hunger. It is to another level. It is out of this world. That does go away. So remember, when you're losing the weight, always keep your hormones in check. Keep it in mind. Guard your thyroid with your life. It's very important. Your thyroid rules your metabolism. It's a big deal in terms of it. It also affects how the brain works and everything. It's very, very important. So always make sure you're having a nutrient-dense diet that is at a macro level that you're at where you're not going to be hungry. That's important. That's very, very important. But just know, if you are super morbidly obese, you will not be as hungry as you are. You won't be. My hunger is drastically less. I used to eat 5,000 calories a day. I now eat like 2,200-ish, 22, 21, like in that range. When I'm trying to eat the most I can, I probably break like 4,200, maybe. And I just cannot believe how much I used to eat. Like, it's not true. So this is not true. Now, coming from where he came from to 245 to 170, it could be true for him. I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you guys. I'm almost to his starting weight, which I will say that triggers my mid-sized princess. The fact that I'm at people's starting weight, it kills me. It kills me. It really does. That's the thing where I'm like, that's a trigger for my mid-sized princess. It's okay, Alex. But you came further. You got this. You got it back. You can do this. Okay, let's be good. Let's be good. Let's be grateful. Be grateful. I'm grateful that I'm getting out of it. You see, I have to work with it. I do. It's tough. That part gets me. So I show you guys my mid-sized princess as I critique others. So I'm again saying I'm not better. I'm not better than him.
But if I'm being honest, I'm probably more hungry now than I was before. And I could probably eat double the amount in one sitting now than I could back then. Number 2.
So that's not true for me. There's no way in hell. I'll just put it to you that way. When I was at the height of my disorder, I was eating 7,500 calories a day. There's not a shot in hell I could ever do that. I do not have that appetite anymore. So I really think it's important to really keep in perspective where you're at and just know, please, for the love of God, if you are super morbidly obese, do not believe him. It's not true. Please. Please. Okay?
I thought people were going to be happy for me. And yeah, there are going to be a few people who are genuinely proud of you, but most people are just going to be jealous or mad at you.
Most. No. So I understand some of this because even being in my mid-sized princess era, like sometimes I only pay attention to the negative. So I can get like 100 comments that are super positive and I'll get 3 that are negative and I will think about the negative ones all day. And it's that princess and the pea. You're worried about the pea under your mattress. And I try to keep that in my mind and I'm like, don't fucking worry about that stupid fucking pea. You're on a comfortable mattress. Like, shut the fuck up. And so I have to kind of realize that. And it's like, okay, like even like on certain statements I made where I got a lot of pushback on, it's like, okay, I had like a few people comment. I had like maybe 5 people comment that disagreed and I had like 100 people like what I said. It's like you have to kind of keep things objective and in perspective because otherwise you can make yourself mad for no reason. It's not reality. So I would say I think the vast majority of people were probably happy for him, but he's probably just focusing on the P. He's focusing on the 2 or 3 people that he's really mad about. And there are going to be some people that aren't happy. But again, it doesn't mean most people are unhappy. That's not true. It's not. And you see here, this is so true. No, it's not. That's not true.
Because when they see you making progress, they feel bad that they're not making progress on themselves.
So what I will say, there is an exception to this. I think within the toxic ritualistic behaviors and disorder, within that context, those people that suffer with that, they will be very threatened. And the reason why is because it is followed like a toxic religion. I've told you guys many times, it's more like a toxic belief system than an addiction. So when somebody else lives in a way that is not aligning with your toxic values, or when you do something or say something that is sacrosanct against that person's disorder, they can lash out due to anxiety. So that will happen, but it's only in very specific people, and most people do not have this issue and they're not going to do that. So that is where I will say people will be upset, and they also often, like if they are like, you know, a certain type, they could be upset that you lost it in a way that they don't approve of. I know for me, I think a major trigger that people have with me, not all, just certain people that have this problem, they are very upset that I'm not afraid to gain weight back. It really upsets them. And I'm not. And it's very, very upsetting to them when I say something like that. So again, that has more to do with the disorder. It doesn't have to do with me. It's not personal. I know it isn't personal. It's more of an anxiety response. So you have to be wary of that. And I do think there can be like some friends or frenemies and stuff that are competitive and stuff. You kind of have to suss that out. But if it's something really weird like that, it could be more of a disordered response and a disordered reinforcement. Okay, so that's something I'm just going to put out there because unfortunately, this disorder or these disorders, they don't just affect the person, it affects other people because you tend to externalize and you tend to project. So, yeah. Okay.
Just be prepared. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. You're gonna
He's right about that.
get some hate. And then number 3, I thought all my overweight habits would just go away. Pulling my shirt, putting my shirt above my chin, grabbing a pillow when I sit down. I definitely don't do them as much, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't catch myself doing them pretty often.
So that makes me really sad. I wonder if I will be that way. I feel like that could definitely be a part of my midsize princess energy that I have. I don't know. I feel like for me, so many of these things are so fun. Like they're such a huge part of who I am. And I naturally am a shy person anyways. So it literally may never go away. But what I will say is it makes me feel bad for him. So I feel bad. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, don't feel that way. So that makes me sad. But I'm also like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to ever change. So I don't know. But see, I hear that and I'm like, oh, I'm like, Alex, no, like, you have to let go of some of these things. So I'm like, ugh. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for being here for the first episode. I appreciate you so much. Let me know what you think. I think that this will be fun. I'm going to be doing these. I want to try to do it once a week. It depends on if I can find things. But I would like to do mid-Mondays for sure. So I will talk to you guys soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think. Bye.